is unelectable.
He's too far to the left to win a general election.
Way far to the left.
Hi guys, welcome to the channel. This is my take. Now tonight, the Democratic presidential candidates are having their third presidential debate, and with Bernie Sanders rising in the polls, this raises the prospect of Bernie being the Democratic nominee. And so that raises the question, is Bernie Sanders unelectable? And today, I'm going to give you my take on that question. So let's start with the simplest thing, the polls. How does Bernie do against Trump? Well, for a candidate who's constantly being framed as too far left, he's actually the best Democrat to beat Trump, along with Joe Biden, getting as much as 50% compared to Trump's 42%, a lot higher than Hillary Clinton's lead. In fact, all the other Democratic candidates are within the margin of error, and Pete Buttigieg even loses to Trump. Yet somehow, only Bernie's electability is questioned by the media. And there are multiple other polls showing Sanders with a significant lead over Trump, including one where he beats Trump in Texas. Texas! That's a deep red state. Now, look, I know some of you are already thinking, weren't the polls wrong last time? Well, yes and no. Of the 13 national polls conducted a week before the 2016 election, only one showed Trump winning. Now that sounds bad, but if you remember, Trump didn't actually win most of the votes. He won the Electoral College. And those same 13 polls showed Hillary Clinton being ahead by about 3.1%, which is not very different from the 2.1% that she actually got. In other words, the national polls were not wrong. Now, to win the Electoral College, you'll of course have to win states, but even many polls of individual states showed Hillary Clinton either losing to Trump or only ahead by a small margin, within the margin of error. Now, Bernie Sanders' lead is substantial. So it wasn't necessarily the polls that were wrong, but the media's overemphasis on national polls and the inevitability of Hillary Clinton's victory. In addition to that, a massive study of all polls conducted since 1942 showed that on average, polls conducted within 50 days before the election were never more than 3% off. So although polls are not the be-all and end-all of everything, they do tell us something, and they do show trends. Now, what other reasons are there to believe that Bernie Sanders is or isn't unelectable? This is America. Money is important for winning elections. So, let's look at fundraising. Well, Sanders is doing well in that department as well. A map compiled by the New York Times recently showed the geographic concentration of donors for each Democratic candidate. And it shows Bernie Sanders absolutely dominating in almost every single state. In fact, in order to even be able to see where the other candidates' donors are coming from, they had to make a second map that excluded Bernie's donors. But not only does he have the most donors, showing that he has grassroots support, he also has the most money, topping the list at $25.7 million, and that without taking a single cent from corporate donors. Now, what about the issues? Now, Sanders may be doing well in the polls and in fundraising, but surely his radical left-wing stances on the issues make him unelectable. Well, not really. Bernie Sanders' flagship proposal, Medicare for All, a universal system of healthcare, has over 70% support in some polls. Now, while it's true that when you tell people that this plan will eliminate all private health insurance, support drops down to 46%. If you tell those same people that under Medicare for All, they can still keep their preferred doctor, which is the case, support jumps back up to 55%, a clear majority. And healthcare emerged as the #1 issue for Americans after the 2018 midterms and continues to be important today. So it's clear that Bernie Sanders has an advantage when it comes to healthcare. And it's clear that even when faced with right-wing attacks, Sanders' proposals still have majority support. And I'd like to show you a great clip where Bernie Sanders got a standing ovation at a town hall on Fox News, the Lion's Den.
Ask the audience a question. If you could raise your hand here. A show of hands of how many people get their insurance from work, private insurance, right now. How many get it from private insurance? Okay, now of those, how many are willing to transition to what the senator says, a government-run system? There's 180 million people on private insurance.
All right, let's deal with that, Brett.
And
fair question.
They
Brett?
would be lost, right?
Well,
to your
Brett,
system.
Fair
Okay.
question.
Okay.
Good question.
Good, thank
and
you.
I know it's what the right wing throws out, so let me answer it. All right? Millions of people every single year lose their health insurance. You know why? They get fired or they quit and they go to another employer. I was the mayor for 8 years. You know what I did? What probably every mayor in America does? Is you look around for the best insurance program, the most cost-effective insurance. You change insurance. Every year, millions of workers wake up in the morning and their employer has changed the insurance that they have. Maybe they like the doctors. People are nodding their heads. Okay? So this is not new. Every year. Now, what we're talking about actually is stability. That when you have a Medicare for all, it is there now and it will be there in the future.
So Bernie Sanders is able to reach out to voters on the other side on issues important to them. And it's not just on healthcare. Most of Bernie Sanders' agenda has majority support. 2/3 of Americans support a $15 minimum wage. And when it comes to taxes, the majority feel that the rich are not paying their fair share, and over 76% want to raise taxes on the wealthy. And this is consistent in poll after poll after poll. So it's clear, guys. Bernie Sanders leads Trump in the polls. He has both the most donors and has raised the most money of any Democratic candidate, and his agenda is supported by a majority of Americans, even when exposed to right-wing counter-arguments. Would you call that unelectable? Well, feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section. Like, share, and subscribe, because this was my take.